talk about Noah Syndergaard. That's the first thing that I think everybody wants to hear our opinion on, hear our thoughts and all that, because it came out of nowhere. I mean, there hasn't been any grumblings, any rumblings, any suspicion that Noah Syndergaard would, one, sign right now, or two, anywhere else besides the New York Mets. And here come the Los Angeles Angels, $21 million on a one-year contract, and Noah Syndergaard is gone.
He's completely gone. You said it in the intro, but the Mets got absolutely blindsided here. This came out of left field, nowhere intense. I mean, the Angels are always good for one kind of wild signing every offseason that you wouldn't expect, and we'll get to that with Billy Epler later. But the market just seemed completely quiet. He also didn't really seem to me like a guy who could have benefited from trying to jump the market with a signing. Like, if I was Noah Syndergaard, I would have really either tried to blow the qualifying offer out of the water or get a multi-year commitment at somewhere near that number. And while he had this qualifying offer deadline that was looming before the lockout were to happen, like, it still just seems like he had a couple more weeks to juice this market. He didn't seem to do that or have any desire to at all.
Yeah, especially because the CBA doesn't expire until December 1st. So
yeah, we have 2 weeks.
We have 2 weeks that he could have negotiated, and especially now with this new article coming out by David Lennon, I believe, of the Daily Post, who talked about basically that Noah Syndergaard didn't even give the Mets a chance to negotiate.
You just mixed two newspapers together.
Daily Post?
Yeah, Daily News, New York Post.
Yeah, that's about right. Daily News, whatever what he's from. I actually have no clue what he's from, but he wrote the article about it and basically said that Syndergaard had no negotiations with the Mets, it seems like, and had no interest in coming back to New York, had no intent. He wanted to go somewhere new, start fresh. And that's just so different than what we were hearing from Noah to at the end of the year, which is kind of weird.
I mean, a lot of Mets fans over the years have taken shots at Noah Syndergaard for, I don't want to call them antics because they're not antics, but just his personality, the way he conducts himself. That sometimes he's kind of a little bit brash, especially on social media and with the media. I just said media, back-to-back words, but those are different things, social media and the actual news media. Takes dates to New York Rangers games. He hangs out in the outfield shirtless with spandex on. Like, he's just a different kind of guy. So I'm not, like, shocked that he would have lied through his teeth to the Mets and used their qualifying offer as leverage to get literally a couple million extra dollars for elsewhere. But I don't know, I guess I'm hurt a little bit that he was said so many things. Or maybe he was just surprised that he got a deal that was slightly more. And Noah Syndergaard's like, I'm not going to turn down a couple $1 million. Like, who's turning down a couple $1 million?
Not me. But to say that it doesn't hurt would be a lie. I mean, we have the great memories of Noah, and he basically came up in the system. I know he's originally a Toronto Blue Jay, but he came up with the Mets. That's really what he did. And you had that World Series where he threw the ball at Alcides Escobar. Come get me, 60 feet, 6 inches away. He had a great 2016 season. He came and he had some really big performances for us, especially like even in the game that we lost to the Giants in that playoffs. He was fantastic. He lost to Madison Bumgarner, who's one of the best postseason pitchers of all time. So it felt like that Noah Syndergaard really was a Met, and especially hearing his comments about how he wanted to pitch for the Mets next year. He was the qualifying offer. He put out the tweet about basically like hugging the teat after he got the qualifying offer from the Mets. It was so bizarre that they basically weren't even given a shot to try and do more, it felt like.
And also, like, maybe they didn't even really want to, which that doesn't make sense considering that they did offer him the qualifying contract. But, like, Noah Syndergaard's coming off a year where he threw 10 innings, and he has not thrown a breaking ball since before the COVID pandemic. So, like, you're going to pay a guy $20 million to maybe give you 100 innings? Like, maybe. We don't even know if we're going to give 100 innings. That's why this contract is more than anything else weird from the Angels' perspective. Because, like I said, the Angels are a team who consistently gives out contracts that make you scratch your head. So it's kind of hard for me to look at something the Angels did, and my smart lenses don't go on, my stupid lenses go on. Like, the value in giving Noah Syndergaard a contract that was better than the Mets qualifying offer was to buy this year of rehab at a little bit of a higher rate, so the next year you can buy a year of actual production at the same rate. So you're going kind of like you're losing value year one, you're getting it year two. It turns out to be a good contract. And you're not really doing that. Like, I don't know what kind of workload the Angels are expecting for a guy that just gave $21 million for 1 year.
I feel like his role, if you're smart going into next year, is similar to what we saw with Michael Kopech with the White Sox, which is going to be like a 2-3 inning swing man, a guy who could just like kind of take over. What?
You're paying that guy $20 million?
No, but that's what I'm saying. The $20 million price tag is weird. And whenever we have talked about Noah with pay outside the qualifying offer, we have been saying, like 2 for $40. And the reason was, like you just said, that you're going to pay a little bit more in the first year so that you can get him at a discounted rate, and it ends up being $20 million a year, which would be fair. But for only a 1-year contract is where you scratch your head, because there just is no way that Noah Syndergaard pitches more than at maximum 120 innings this year. And if he does, that's malpractice.
Yeah, definitely. And he probably won't even want to because it'll ruin his value for next season, especially if he isn't like super effective for all of those innings. And like, not to toot my horn, but I did say Noah Syndergaard's market would be a little hotter than people expected a few weeks ago, just because he is one of the highest upside pitchers you will ever see reach free agency. Like, he can be that good. I just don't see that happening next season. And that's why the $18 million qualifying offer was always like not a great value for the Mets, but you send that out just because you can hold on to your own upside, and then you can have your own training staff working with Noah every single day and analyzing him, so you can be more prepared to offer a long-term contract if and when it came to that. And you could also have your own research and development people watching him to make sure everything is in line with the way it used to be and that these things could still be stable in the future. But now you lose that, and is that really all the Mets were paying for is the question.
Yeah, and it also makes me question even more what the Mets were talking about when that like rumor about that the Mets weren't going to give him the qualifying offer because they thought his market was going to be a little bit quiet. Seemingly not. He got over the qualifying offer in value. Like whoever,
like a tiny bit over.
Whoever seemed to be valuating and even thought about not giving him the qualifying offer. Where's that guy? He was so far off. He couldn't have been more right. Because apparently the Angels and the Blue Jays were making a push. That the Blue Jays were highly interested in Syndergaard as well. They just weren't able to get an offer in either. So everything feels so weird. The Met fan in me is sad because I like Syndergaard as a player. I like him as a person. He was one of my favorite guys. I have a Syndergaard jersey behind me. But I'm spin zoning it, and I think it's going to end up being okay. I think it's going to end up being fine. I mean, to me...
Is that what we're going for? Fine? Is that the goal?
Well, here's what happens. Like you just said, like what was Syndergaard really going to do coming into this year? And especially for the price tag that we have. Here's how it can be good. You take this $20 million now that the Mets aren't going to be able to use, and you spend it. You have to use it, and that can be used towards a guy that maybe we're going to talk about here a little bit later, Marcus Stroman, or some of the other pitchers on the market. Now that Syndergaard is gone, and you have this free $18 million, it has to be used elsewhere, and it has to be used on starting pitching. We have to use it somewhere.
If you really do want to spin zone it, like I guess that now you're going to have like a more stable projection for the pitcher you spend that $20 million on than Syndergaard, because his range of outcomes for next season was incredibly wide as it was going into the season. It turned out to be 0. Like there's a world where Noah Syndergaard is just not good next year and only throws like 45 ineffective innings, still throws no sliders, and he goes to free agency next year again, looking for another 1-year prove-it deal because he's not ready. But the only thing that just doesn't make sense in my mind logically is why the Mets, I guess the fact that maybe they didn't have a chance to counter, which I just can't really see how that's like wholly possible. If that's the case, then Noah Syndergaard's agent should be fired. But there's no way that's true because the agents are CAA, and there's no way that those people don't get the money when it's there. So where's the logic in sending out the qualifying offer and not adding a couple million more to it if push came to shove?
Yeah, I mean, unless did the Mets maybe know that there was really no shot that Noah was coming back? Did they get a whisper that there was no chance? And they're like, we can get a free draft pick.
But then maybe if they could have gotten a free draft pick, but you're leveraging $18 million over a second-round draft pick. Like, that's not a good value proposition.
And not even a good second-round draft pick. I think it's like in the 70 to 90 range, apparently, because he didn't get paid that much. It's weird. I think if the Mets actually had a president of baseball operations and a legitimate GM right now, I think we'd probably have a little more clarification as to what's going on. But, like, when Billy Epler does inevitably get announced, I don't even think he's going to be able to have an answer for this. He's not been working for the team. So, like...
He's closer to the Angels than the Mets.
Did the Mets get caught with their pants down? Did they get caught... I mean, it's weird because, like, there really is no punishment here except for the fact that we don't have that starting pitcher on our rotation. But even then, he was a shell of himself because he wasn't going to be able to be the value of someone who's going to get paid $18 million. So it's like, it's a weird give and take right now.
It's lessened the blow that we haven't really seen him pitch in 2 years. Like, Noah Syndergaard has not been a part of this organization for 2 years, basically, since he got Tommy John surgery. So it's not like we were really expecting or have remained used to his production. It's just something that we knew existed and could be there. So I'm also not that concerned about losing it. Also, I think I mentioned CAA before. We should include that they're based in Los Angeles, California. And a lot of these big-time agencies today, like Scott Boris's group and CAA, have their own training staffs, their own analytics department. They all do that stuff internally. So I think that this could be a year where Noah Syndergaard and his people said we want to all be close together for the entire year, everyone be on the same page because of how important they know the next offseason is.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a weird one. This is a weird one from all sides. I mean, I get it for Noah. You got paid. I can't blame him at all for wanting
a couple
to
extra million.
Yeah, getting a couple extra $1 million, living in sunny California. That's a beautiful place to live. Like, way better than cold New York City right now. So I get it from the player perspective. It's just confusing from, honestly, both sides, from the Angels and the Mets. And
And Noah Syndergaard.
It doesn't signal anything for us with the Mets. And that's probably why, which will lead us into the next thing here, we have to get a GM. And it seems like Billy Epler, it's not official yet, right?
It's still not officially official.
But it's about as good as possible, it seems like, because Billy Epler wanted the job. He got offered the job. And everyone's saying it's on the goal line, you know? That old saying.